We've all heard of them. A secret society of terrible, despicable people participating in acts of sacrifice and ritualistic cannibalism who want nothing more than to sacrifice the blood of virgins to the devil and feast upon the souls, or at least, that's what we've been told. How many of these stories are actually true, and how many of them are just myths? In today's video, I want to embark on these journeys and discover what's real about these groups of people. What are their lives actually like? My name is braden.r.lord, and you're watching Common Misconceptions Episode 5, Satanism. Hold on, give me a minute, my eyes. Before we do get started into this video, I would just like to remind you that this is for educational and entertainment purposes only. I will be judging this from somebody from the outside looking into this religion. I will be talking about what they do and the way that they do it. I will not be giving any opinions saying that it's a good thing or a bad thing. I just simply want to clear up a lot of the things that people believe that aren't true. Because once I started looking into this topic, none of y'all have any idea what you're talking about. So sit down and listen. Additionally, I will be covering some more intense topics, and it won't be as bad as last week's video, but we will still be touching on maybe a little bit more intense things. But before we do get into this video, let's look at the history. Despite what many people would have you believe, Satanism is not that old. In fact, prior to the 20th century, Satanism only existed in the minds of Christians, just like many things. Before the 20th century, many people saw Satanism associated with witches, hence the Salem witch trials and other things that were completely untrue, but you know how Christians are. The concept of worshipping Satan didn't really even start to be considered as an option until the 17th century, when artists and poets started to romanticize the deity. This was partially in part by the Italian poet, let's see if I can get this, Giuseppe Carducci. I'll put up the name somewhere because I know that was wrong. And his work, Hymn to Satan, and William Blake's illustrations for Paradise Lost in 1888. At this point in history, at least for those people, Satan is started to see less as a demonic and evil entity and more of an anti-hero. He was sort of a rebel without a cause, meant to challenge the status quo. However, this didn't really start to become an actually organized religion that people started to believe in until the 20th century. Sometime between 1957 and 1960, Anton LaVey, a former carnival worker and musician, held nightly classes on the occult. Regular attendees eventually created the Church of Satan. Since that point, the Satanic Church has steadily been growing to this day. Now that we've talked about how this has sort of been viewed in the past, let's look at how it is currently operated and organized today. I feel it would be best to take a quote directly from their website. To us, Satan is the symbol that best suits the nature of we, who are carnal by birth. People who feel no battles raging between our thoughts and feelings. We who do not embrace the concept of a soul imprisoned in the body. He represents pride, liberty, and individualism, qualities often defined as evil by those who worship external deities, who feel there is a war between their minds and emotions. I don't know about you, but that's metal as f***. But honestly, after scouring their entire website, I did find one specific quote that stuck out to me the most, that I feel like encompasses all of their beliefs as well as you possibly could in one sentence. We Satanists are thus our own gods, and as beneficent deities, we can offer love to those who deserve it and deliver our wrath within reasonable limits upon those who seek to cause us, or that which we cherish, harm. More than anything, from what I've been able to understand, it is about self-government and challenging the status quo. It's about looking at religion with a really serious viewpoint and deciding, is this actually a good religion? They honor making sure that they know who they are, and being very smart and elegant and understanding the ways in which the world operates. They value understanding themselves and understanding science, challenging things that have come before. However, aesthetics are also important, as not having one is considered one of the 9 satanic sins. No, I'm not kidding, look it up. Additionally, as Jex Blackmore stated, being a Satanist is to defy authority, much like how Satan defied God. If you see something that isn't just in the world, you change it. And in their eyes, they believe this is what Satan did. He was the only one who was brave or maybe stupid enough to challenge God, and he was punished for it. But these people see that as a wonderful thing. He looked at authority and said, no, I don't want to fall in line. I don't want to do what the rest of your followers are doing. I'm going to do things my own way and self-govern myself. He's more of a figurehead of these people's religion. She also goes as far as to say activism is a satanic practice. After all, Satan was about rebellion and challenging the status quo. Pentagrams. Although the pentagram is now seen as a satanic symbol, and the main symbol that they do recognize as their own, it didn't used to be this way. In fact, there is an article on their official website that talks about this. Prior to the worldwide press given the Church of Satan, and later in the publication of the Satanic Bible, the now familiar goat/pentagram/Leviathan graphic has not been used as the prime symbol for Satanism. The pentagram actually originated as the pentacle, and that has been around for thousands of years. The origin of the pentacle symbol can be traced back to Mesopotamia, as far back as 3,500 or 3000 BC, when it was used by Babylonians and Sumerians. Because it has been used by so many religions since that point, it does represent a lot of different things to a lot of different people who have practiced those religions or currently still do. And it has changed a lot over the years. Here are just some things that it represents. So, it always represents 5 things specifically because of the 5 points. Let's go over what some of those things are. Sense of sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, wood, water, fire, earth, metal, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn. Despite what cultures and religions have used the symbol in the past, the one that uses it the most in our modern day world is the Wiccans. In the Wiccan religion, the 5-pointed star represents 5 different elements: earth, water, fire, air, and spirit. The circle around the 5-pointed star figure symbolizes the universe, which not only contains but connects us all together. The big question now is, what sets apart this symbol from this symbol? It is a little bit harder to tell. From what I have been able to gather though, the pentacle will always be enclosed in a circle, whereas the pentagram is not. Additionally, more often than not, the pentacle will be right side up, whereas the pentagram will be upside down, which looks like a face of the goat, which is often how Baphomet is portrayed. Now for the moment you've all been waiting for. Human sacrifice. Despite what you may have heard, the Satanic Temple is strictly against human and animal sacrifice. Unlike many religions and philosophies, Satanism respects and exalts life. Children and animals are the purest expressions of that life force, and as such are held sacred and precious in the eyes of the Satanists. Besides, it is very unsatanic to take any creature's life against its will. They worship the devil. Despite it literally being in their name, they actually don't worship the devil. In fact, they're atheists. We see the universe as being indifferent to us, and so all morals and values are subjective human constructions. So again, as I've mentioned before, they're more about self-expression than, sacrificing their souls to Satan or something like that. By the way, for future reference, the word you're looking for is devil worshipper. They're the ones who worship Satan. They are witches. Like 99% of the reason people think this is because of the Salem witch trials, which happened well over 100 years ago at this point. To quote it straight from the devil's mouth, Satanists do not believe in God, Satan, heaven, or hell. Now, there are satanic witches, but technically they are devil worshippers and not Satanists. They sell their souls to the devil. Satanists do not believe in God, Satan, heaven, or hell. There are no souls and nobody to buy them. If you want something out of life, get off your lazy butt and work for it. How eloquent. Again, seeing as this is a group of atheists mainly targeted towards showing the hypocrisy of Christians, they don't really believe in souls, more in, if you're doing this and we're not allowed to do this, then you're being a hypocrite. Additionally, you will not become famous, have a lot of sex, get a lot of money, or anything like that. That is witchcraft, and that would fall under the last one we talked about. Basically, Satanism is atheist, but make it spicy. Although we've spent a lot of time talking about the things that they aren't, let's talk about what they are. There's a wonderful documentary called Hail Satan that really dives deep into their lives and has a lot of first-hand experience and accounts from these people. Although it talks about many of the beliefs they share that we've talked about so far, like seeing Satan more as a figurehead, it does also cover some more things in depth. The main thing that they do and participate in is purposefully distorting Christian practices to show the hypocrisy of it. Something that I'm not for and I would never personally condone, but it does make this very interesting. Let me read you an example that is surprisingly sound in their logic. Basically, there's a part of the show where they go to the mother of the current leader of the Westboro Baptist Church and desecrate the grave by having a same-sex couple kiss over the grave, as well as declaring her a lesbian in the afterlife. Now, there's no doubting what they did would be considered morally and ethically incomprehensible by a lot of people in today's standards. However, their sort of justification for this act was, well, if Mormons are able to perform baptisms for the dead, essentially making people LDS after they've already passed on, why can't we do the same thing and make people gay after they've passed on? And you have to admit, that's pretty sound logic, as not ethically good as what they did was. Now, as you can see, there are a lot of aspects of Satanism that people don't understand and are terrified of. However, there are also a lot of things that people believe that just frankly aren't true. Yes, they are extremist and have a lot of intense views, but there's a good reason for this. They look at the fact that Christianity has been pretty much the majority and reigning religion in the Western world for the past 1,000 years, if not more than that. And they look at how corrupt it's been and they want to change it. I mean, there's no doubt that it has been changed in some aspects by capitalism. I mean, there are a lot of things that have happened in Christianity in general that aren't necessarily as good. You do have instances of rape because of pastors doing things that they shouldn't to young children, as well as you being forced to pay to confess your sins in some other religions. They look at these aspects and say, this is not okay. We need to change this. And although they do come across it in a very extremist manner, they do have a point for what they're doing. This is a group of people who see Satan as everything that God is not. He challenges the status quo, steps out of line, and does things that he wants to because it's what you should do, not because it's what some musty old man told you to do. They value individualism and education almost more than they honor anything else. Now, although I personally wouldn't condone this because they do spend a lot of time poking fun at Christians and a lot of other organizations that I wouldn't do simply because I'm not that extremist and I like to kind of close off from a lot of things. But it is definitely a very fascinating case study to look at and interesting because, well, there must be some appeal considering the fact that they have over 20,000 members across the world today. Additionally, they also realize that they're not free from prosecution. In fact, quite the opposite. They're very secretive. Just go on their website and try to find information. It's not easy to get an interview with one of these people or find one of their meetings. Also, you do have to be 18 to join, specifically for the reason that, you know, Christian parents and whatnot. If you do want to get more information than I've talked about here, there are plenty of places you could go. You could also watch that documentary, Hail Satan. I know it is available on Hulu, and it might be on other platforms as well, I'm not sure. And just be aware that it does cover some more intense discussion materials and matters, and it is rated R, so beware of that. Additionally, you can actually purchase a copy of the Satanic Bible if you so wish to. I didn't, simply for the fact that I feel like that would not be a good thing to own, seeing as I currently live in a very conservative and Christian area. Additionally, this wasn't going to be some sort of big long paper that I really needed to dive into that for. It's just a short YouTube video. They also do have some information down on their website, which I will be making sure to link down below. Now remember, always research before you cast blame. Bye.